Hello, I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing another Taskmaster video in where I rank characters from different shows on how well I think they're doing Taskmaster. This episode is going to be doing the Bob's Burgers characters. This has been requested a few times in the comments and it's one that I have wanted to do anyway, so I thought this one would be a really good one to do. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos about this, what I do is I take 5 characters from a particular show or sitcom and I rank them how I think Greg would score them on Taskmaster. So yes, with Bob's Burgers there's 5 main characters. I really wanted to do all 5. I didn't want to bring other characters like Teddy or Mort or Jimmy Pesto or anybody into the mix. I wanted it to be the main 5. I think it'd be pointless otherwise. And the other little rule that I have is I'm going to try to rank it on how I think Greg would score it, because sometimes he does have tendencies to rank things in certain ways. So that's why, yeah, it's very difficult to do because Greg can be unpredictable and obviously I don't know how he thinks. So yeah, I just tried to do my best. It's fun anyway, it's just a bit of fun. This one I did find generally quite easy to do. There are a couple bits where I'm kind of flicking between 2 people who I'm not 100% sure on, but generally I'm quite happy with the way I've ranked this. So we'll start off in 5th place and go up to 1st place. 5th place was quite difficult to decide. I am still kind of flipping between 2 characters between 5th and 4th place, but in 5th place I'm going to put Gene. Gene has many good qualities that I think would impact how he performs on Taskmaster. He is very musical and very creative in that sense. He plays his little keyboard thing and he creates songs, and he has created genuinely fantastic songs like the Topsy the Elephant song, and yeah, he was really passionate about it, and I feel like if there's any musical task he would do really well. He is also quite determined. Once he's kind of put his mind to it, he will do it. The one I'm thinking of mainly is when he ran the mile. He was the only one out of the Belcher kids to do it, and he didn't expect himself to do it, but he pushed himself and he did it. He completed it, which is great. He is also very silly, not afraid to embarrass himself whatsoever, which would be fantastic on the show, both in terms of entertainment and in scoring, because a lot of the tasks you do just kind of need to forget what people are going to think about you and just do it how you think would work. So yeah, I do feel like he has a lot of strong characteristics. He's also quite into food as well, so on food related challenges he might do well. He also does seem to eat anything, so challenges that have to do with, the kind of the horrible food challenges, I think he'd do really well on. He does have some downfalls though. The main one I think is that he's very easily distracted. I feel like he could get carried away or not even do the task and get distracted by something that makes a good sound, and he just kind of wants to play on that for a bit. So I think that's the main thing that I feel like he would do bad at. And also he's not very athletic, as we kind of saw with the mile thing, even though he did put in the effort and managed to complete it. Generally he is probably the least athletic out of all the characters, and sometimes he just doesn't really seem to know 100% with what's going on. He does feel a little bit out of the loop sometimes, I think because he just kind of wants to do his own thing. So those are the main reasons why I have put him in last place. In 4th place I have put Tina, and yeah, so it was mainly between Gene and Tina about who would be in last place, and I will get into my reasonings for this first, but what I think Tina does really well is she is quite smart. I know she's not the smartest when it comes to maths and Spanish and things like that, but she generally seems to have an idea of what's going on, not socially. She writes a lot, so she's creative in that sense, but that also does require intelligence as well to be able to write as much as she does and read as much as she does. She also is a strict rule follower, so she's a hall monitor, so she would stick to the rules, and I feel like she would break the rules occasionally, but it would be mainly by accident, I think. But yeah, I definitely think she'll follow the rules and do tasks within she'll do them in the spirit of the task, so she would get points, but perhaps not as many points as people who think outside the box. Tina is also very hardworking. She's definitely the most hardworking out of all the kids, and she's obviously a bit more mature. She's the only one that really seems to put in any effort and any work into like the restaurant. So in that sense, I think she'd do really well. And again, she is very determined when she wants to do something, and she has that passion. So I feel like she would do quite well. And I think just because of how she sees things, she does think of things quite weirdly, which I feel like would kind of be an advantage in the tasks. Cons, however, the biggest con for her, I think, is that she does freeze when she is nervous. So when she's got kind of like stage fright, when she's playing that tree, and also when she crashed the car, she does freeze, and when she's like scared or nervous, and I feel like if something perhaps makes her a bit uncomfortable in the task, she will just freeze and not do it. She also loses focus a lot if there is a boy around, and I feel like she would get distracted by perhaps one of like the camera operators or Alex or something like that. Like she would kind of get obsessed with a man around, and that would distract her. I think the main reason for me why she slightly beats Jean in this is because I feel like her character has developed a lot more than Jean's. So when we take the stage fright thing, for example, she has grown, and she is not as nervous around the like stage stuff as well. So she participates in a lot of like extracurricular theatre things. I don't know, I feel like her character has developed a lot more than Jean's. I feel like Jean has been quite stagnant throughout the series. I think if we compare season 1 Jean and Tina, Jean would probably win, but where we are now with the series, I think Tina would beat Jean. In third place is Bob. This was quite easy for me to decide. I think would be a very average scorer on the show. So for pros, obviously he's a great cook. So any tasks where it involves cooking something, he'd be fantastic at. He is also very hardworking. Running the restaurant is not easy, and he's very dedicated to things and very passionate. So he's obviously very passionate about cooking. He's very passionate about gardening, and gardening also is like a skill. So there is like patience involved in that, and he does have another like skilled hobby, which is like building the model things, which he doesn't do very often, but that does require like precision, and also you need to follow kind of like the rules of it as well. So I feel like in that sense he'd do really well. He is also very, very silly with like the voices of when he does the voices of the food. So I feel like in any challenge where he has to do like a little acting thing or something like that, even though he appears to hate acting and performance, I think he would do quite well if he just kind of pretends that no one else is there. He's also quite good at multitasking, and he does put time into things and is quite thoughtful with the way he does stuff. Sometimes it is perhaps a bit last minute. I'm thinking kind of like when he does things for birthdays and Valentine's Day. He has great ideas, but it's always a last minute thing and something that he has to kind of rush to do. So I feel like his approach would just kind of be wandering around a bit, trying to think what to do. Then he'd have a great idea and like do it as quickly as he could, which I feel like would kind of be in the middle. Sometimes it would work really well if it's not a timed thing like that, if it's just get it the furthest or something like that. But if in timed challenges, I don't think he would do that well. So for cons, I think the main con is that he is very unlucky. That seems to be his main thing throughout the show. And he's also kind of related to that is he doesn't have much confidence in himself. So he doesn't kind of let himself do well. So I definitely think in that sense it would really disadvantage him on the show. He's also just not as competitive as the others. There are definitely moments where his competitive spirit comes out, but generally I wouldn't say he's as competitive, and I wouldn't say he's not as silly or not afraid to embarrass himself as the others. I think everybody else is just very, very wacky and out there. He is the most sensible out of everybody else, even though he's not very sensible at all. He's also not very athletic, so I don't think in any challenges where he has to be athletic, he'd do very well. So we're on to second and first place. Again, this was quite difficult, and I feel like people might disagree with me at first, but I do have my reasons. So in second place, I am putting Louise. I was originally going to put Louise in first place, but there were a couple things that made me put her in second. So for pros, she is very, very competitive. She will kind of do whatever she needs to do to win. She's also very, very smart and very cunning. And I feel like that would make her think outside the box and think of alternative ways to do things. She is also getting more and more creative as the show goes on. Again, I definitely feel like she has had a lot more character development. She's becoming more creative and more vulnerable. I'm thinking of the poem in particular and the Amelia Earhart project. She is getting more creative, which I love to see. And again, as I said, she's just willing to do whatever she needs to do, and she's very dedicated as well. I also think if there were teams in this, say if it was adults on one team, kids on the other team, I think she would definitely be the team leader, which I think most of the time would make them do very well. But a lot of the time as well, she might lead them on the other track and not listen to what Jean or Tina, not listen to their opinion at all, which could be a disadvantage. So the main con, I think, with Louise is that her competitiveness, her cunningness, and her ability to think outside the box will lead her to breaking the rules a lot. She will 100% cheat throughout the show, which even with the cheating, she definitely won't be at the bottom or anything, but it does make her miss out on first place in my opinion. She will just get disqualified on a lot of things. And I think in relation to this, that will make her really, really angry, and she will kind of want vengeance and stuff. So that I think will disadvantage her a lot. And for some reason, I feel like she wouldn't be the best defender of her attempts in the tasks. I just imagine her getting angry. I don't think she'd be able to debate with Greg about the scorings. However, she might scare him into giving her some points, because I can definitely imagine her doing that. I would also fear for Alex's safety when she's doing tasks, because she will 100% get the most dangerous thing, think of the most dangerous thing to do. And I think that as well might disadvantage her. She might lose track of what the actual task is and just try and do something crazy and dangerous. So that means in first place, I have put Linda. Linda is so multi-talented. She can multitask so well. So she works in the restaurant, she does the cooking, the serving, she chats to the customers at the same time, she knows exactly what they like, she fills up their coffee at the right times, turns down the temperature, and manages that very well. So she can just do everything and do it really well. So that I think would just do her so well. She does that also while parenting her kids. So she 100% will be organised and slightly chaotic, but it will do very well in the tasks. She has a lot of skills, as I said. So all those things were to do with the restaurant. She also sews Halloween costumes for the kids. A lot of the times they're very elaborate costumes on very short time scales and a tight budget. So in terms of time challenges, I think she'd do really well. It also shows how creative she is, and it's just another skill to have that I think would be really good. She also loves theatre and dancing and singing. So I feel like in acting challenges, song challenges, anything to do with that, she'd definitely put in lots of effort and do really well. She would do anything with very little embarrassment. So yeah, she just does not seem to get embarrassed at all, even when she's doing very humiliating things. And that I think would just do so well on the show. I think as well, she is also very resilient. I'm thinking mainly of one of her birthday episodes where she gets locked out of her car and just all bad things happen and she gets on the wrong bus and she has to make her way home by herself. She went through so much in that episode, and she still went off with a positive attitude and was I want to do that again. I want that to be my birthday thing every year. She's just very determined, hardworking, resilient and silly, and yeah, she would just do fantastic. I also think Greg would really, really like her, and I think a lot of the time people joke that Greg has a favourite of each episode, and I think Linda would 100% be Greg's favourite. In terms of negatives, there wasn't really that many I could think of. The main one being that perhaps maybe sometimes she might get a bit too competitive and may go too far with some things. Oh yeah, another thing I thought was, again, like I said, she's just willing to do anything, and recent episode where she just does loads of dares, again, she's just willing to do anything and throwing. Oh wow, I'm just thinking Linda 100% is going to win. She's got that talent as well where she can hit anything with throwing things. So yeah, she would just be fantastic. Anything where it's having to aim or even throw far, I think she would do really, really well. So those are my rankings for how the Bob's Burgers characters would do on Taskmaster. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then leave it a like and comment down below how you think the characters would do on the show. Do you agree with my rankings or not? And subscribe if you want to see more videos of TV shows, Taskmaster, Bob's Burgers, anything, and I'll have more videos out for you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye!